Hello and welcome to the channel. On today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how to sew an inbuilt corset with a mermaid skirt. So if it's your first time viewing my channel, please hit on the subscribe button. Let's dive right into today's video. So here is my pattern and we'll be working for the lower part first. So I've gone ahead to cut out the crepe skin tone fabric that I have, and I added ½ inch round my pattern. So I cut this on fold. So if you're going to cut yours into two and join it back, you're going to add your sewing allowance. So I went ahead to place my mesh on it so that it can give me the skin tone that I want. So going over to the second pattern, I added ½ inch round this part on top, by the side, at the lower part, and by the side also. So I have two pieces for this, and I went ahead to iron stay to the material. Just like I placed mesh on the first one, I'm also going to place it on it, and I'm going to place it this way. Go ahead to top stitch it. So after top stitching, this is what I have. So the reason why for top stitching is just to hold it down, and this is the last part of the front. I'll repeat the same process that I did for this part. So I'll just go ahead and I'm going to join my patterns with ½ inch, or my fabric with ½ inch. So I will repeat the same process for the side, and this is it after I'm done joining. So I'll go ahead and iron this flat. Just iron it flat so that when you're creating your boning channels, you will not be having any issue. So on this, I'm going to go ahead to place, and I will sew my boning channel. First, I'm just going to place and stitch with ½ inch, and I'm going to turn it in and top stitch. So you can place your fabric on fold, but I'm just doing my single. So I will repeat this whole process for this part, and on the center piece I'll be creating a boning channel also. So just go ahead and create a boning channel. You can create more boning channels also, that's your choice. So I'm just going to create this particular boning channel, and after I'm done, this is what I have. And I also joined the back pattern, which I ironed gum stay on. So for the back of the corset, I added ½ inch round on the pattern, and on this part I added ½ inch, but I didn't add by the side because I've added joining allowance already. So this is my pattern, and I went ahead to place mesh on it, and I ironed stay just like I did from the front pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead to stitch it with ½ inch. So on the last part, I cut out with a doll face, so I'll be creating my boning channel. I'll be creating my loop on that part. So this is it. I've gone ahead to create a boning channel at the back of this dress, and now I'm going to go ahead to turn it up with the lining for each part. So here is my cup A and cup B. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead to open it up. So I was supposed to iron an stay to it, but I forgot. But I'm going to iron a gum stay to the lining, so it's going to take care of whatever error that is going to occur. So this is my breast cup, the breast cup that I'm working with. I'm going to fold it and create a dart of 3 inches on both sides of the cup, 3 inches darts. So after I'm done, this is what I have, and I'm going to place this on it, and I'm going to iron. So use your hemming gum to attach it. Go ahead and cut out your hemming gum, place it on it, and you're going to use your tailor's ham. So if you don't know how to make a tailor's ham, I have a video on how to make a tailor's ham. Go ahead and place it and iron properly. So after ironing, this is what I have. So I went ahead to just apply uhu gum on some parts that did not stick very well. So now this is my cup, and I'm going to stitch it with ½ inch. So now I didn't add the lace to the cup because of this is actually a beaded lace, and I'll find it difficult to join. So I'll be doing that later. I'll be adding the beaded lace to it. So I'll go ahead and place my cup, and I'm going to pin. So while placing my cup, I noticed that the space I have for the cup is a bit smaller. What I'm going to do is just to go ahead to notch the space that I have for the cup, and after I'm done notching it, I'm just going to go ahead to place it, and I'm going to pin it down. So make sure it matches before you go ahead to pin. So after doing this, I'm going to also repeat the same process for this side. Make sure that what you have matches. If it doesn't, go ahead to notch the body of the corset. So after I'm done doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and stitch with 1/2 inch round to join my cup. So, and I'm going to repeat it for the other side also. So I went ahead also to iron gum stay to the lining piece, and I joined it just like I did for the cup, for the front part. So this is the yoke for the front, and I cut out 2 inches. I added 1/2 inch on this part, but at the sleeve I did not add because we've already added before when we were drafting it, and I cut out 2 pieces. I'm going to go ahead to stitch it together and trim out the excess that I have at the upper part of the yoke. So after trimming it off, I'm going to flip it and then top stitch it to hold it down. So this is the back pattern, and I added 1/2 inch on all these parts, on the lower part and at the upper part, but I didn't add by the side. So I cut out 2 inches for both sides. So I'm going to go ahead to stitch this part and go ahead to stitch also this part. So on one side I will be creating a loop. So this is it after I'm done sewing, and I went ahead to top stitch this part. So I'm going to join it to my corset later. So this is the back, and I created a loop on one side, and now we are going to join the yoke to the body of the corset. So now to join it, you're going to place it this way, and you're going to go ahead to use 1/2 inch to join it. But for easy joining, go ahead to use your pin to hold the yoke down to the body of the dress, and also pin the other side. So just go ahead. After doing that, stitch with 1/2 inch to attach the yoke to the body of the corset. So after stitching it, I went ahead to iron out my corset, and so next I'm going to be attaching the back. So what I'm going to do right now is to take the back part of this, the front part, and I'm going to place, and I'm going to pin on it. So make sure that when you're pinning, the net does not pop out on the other side. So gently pin from this part to the other side, and you're going to stitch with 1/2 inch when you're done pinning it. So I'm going to continue pinning till I get to the end and pin to the other side. Go ahead and join it with 1/2 inch. So after joining with 1/2 inch, this is what I have. Go ahead to notch or top stitch and then trim out the excess that you have. I'll go ahead and turn the side. So this is what my corset looks right now, and the next step we're going to take from here is to go ahead and work for the back. So this is my 2 back, and I'm going to place my yoke this way. Remember, where the yoke started at the back is where I have my first joining, and I'm going to go ahead to place, and I will stitch it down with 1/2 inch. So after that, I'm going to go ahead to place this on it, the lining part, and I'm going to place the other side also. So after placing, the next step is just to go ahead to stitch with 1/2 inch round it, but do not stitch at the lower part. So after I'm done stitching, this is what my back pattern looks like. So right now what I have here is not equal, but I'm going to divide it. Here I have 2.2, so I'll be marking 0.6 at this point. So at this point I have 2 inches exactly, so I'll mark 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch. So with this way you have like 1 inch at the center to create your eyelet. So I normally use 1 inch. You can use 0.75. Why I do that is I don't know, depending on the eyelets that you're working with, the size of the eyelets you're working with. So now this is it after I'm done joining, and I'm going to join the upper part, the front to the back. Go ahead to place one at the middle and use the other one to wrap, stitch with 1/2 inch on this part. Place also and wrap the other one and go ahead with and stitch with 1/2 inch. So after joining, this is what I have, and next we are going to stitch this up. So to stitch this up, you're going to go ahead to place your corsets and join. But before we do that, I'll be attaching my sleeve. So I went ahead to cut out this sleeve because I was working with time. This is actually a client's dress. So now I'm going to notch the center of the sleeve, and I'm going to place that notch part on it, stitch with 1/2 inch to the end, and I'm going to go ahead to stitch with 1/2 inch to the other end. So I'll also go ahead and I will stitch this part. So any excess I have, I'm going to go ahead to cut it out. So after joining my sleeve, this is what I have, and I've also joined the other part. Now is to flip my pattern, and I'm going to go ahead to stitch it up. So before stitching it up, go ahead to pin your dress down, and if you have any part that is way too longer, just go ahead to trim it off. So after pinning it, what I'm going to do is to go ahead to place my tape first at the under bust. With that way you will easily find your bust point. So I'll mark my bust point, go ahead and mark my waist point, and I will mark the under bust points. So now I'll go ahead to insert my measurements, and at the waist, remember we snatched 3 inches from the waist. The original waist is 35, so we snatched 3 inches, making it 32. So now you can go ahead and mark your hip at the lower part, or you can just slant it this way. So this is the trick I normally use just to avoid having ear or excess at the lower part of my dress. So now I'll stitch that part that I have marked, and on this part I'll mark my armhole circumference and then stitch with 1/2 inch. So after stitching, this is what I have. This is what my final results have. Sorry, this is what my final result is looking like. So this is a strip of fabric, and I'm going to wrap the lower part with 1/2 inch. After wrapping it, I'm going to turn it the other side and cut out the excess and top stitch. I'm sorry I'm not being too detailed in this video. This is actually a client's dress, and I'm trying to create a video with it and also share with you people at the same time. So this is the skirt which I've already cut out. So now I'll place my tape and I will mark the hip. So remember we snatched our waist. So the waistline now we are going to work with is 32 inches, no longer 35. So I'll go ahead and mark the waist, the new waist circumference. Go ahead also to mark the hip circumference at this point. So to get a clear picture of how to shape a mermaid skirt, I have a video on how to cut and sew a mermaid skirt. So you can just go down to my YouTube channel and check that out, or I'm going to leave a link at the description box on how to shape your skirt. So I'll go ahead and insert the hip circumference at this part. So after I'm done inserting the hip circumference, the next step is to connect what I have from the hip down, from the waistline down to the hip. And on this part where the flow of the mermaid skirt started, I'm going to go in by 2 inches, which is the knee part of this dress. So I'm going to go in by 2 inches on each side. So you can go ahead and go in by 1.5 inches. It just depends on how tight or free you want your skirt to be. So from this part, I'm just going to go ahead to take it down to the lower parts. So just like I said, trace it down to the lower part. So if you don't understand, you can still go ahead to check out that video I have on my channel on how to shape your skirt. So after that, I'm going to put on the corset and skirt on my mannequin so that we can start working on it. So now I'm going to mark the waistline. So the easiest way to do that is to place my tape at the under bust, and I'm going to place and mark the waistline. So the waistline I'm working with is 20.5. So make sure that the joining at the corset by the side and the skirt meets is very important. So where you joined your skirt and where the joining by the side of the corset meets, now we are just trying to create a little low basque. It's not like it's too deep, so I'll just go ahead and mark 2 inches down, and from there make sure your skirt is at the center, and I'm going to cut out the shape that I so desire. So, and I'm going to place this on the other side and cut out. So this is what I have. It's not so deep, it's just a low waistline. So I'll just go ahead and pin it down, take it to the sewing machine later, and I'm going to top stitch on so after I'm done doing this, I'm going to be using the lace placement method to attach lace to the cup part of this corset, because it's a beaded lace, so sewing it will be very difficult. All I have to do is just pin it down, and I'm going to use my scissors to trace it out round, drag it, and make sure you don't have any excess, and you're going to go ahead to cut it out. When cutting out, leave about 1/2 inch round it. You can go ahead to top stitch it with your invisible thread and your beading needle. So I had to just finish this particular corset because I was going to deliver it to my client, so I didn't have the time to show you all the processes that I took. So all you have to do is just hand tack it with your invisible or your fishing line with your beading needle. Beading needle is around 200 naira in the market. So this is what I have after I'm done tacking. I'll repeat this at the other side. Sorry I could not finish this particular dress in this video. I had to deliver it to my client. So with this, we have come to the end of the video. Thanks.